Hello everyone, welcome back. Now I wanted to discuss a little bit more about what HIIT training is and the high intensity kind of training itself. And also, I talked about in our previous lecture, P90X and some of those other programs that kind of, go into this a little bit deeper. And I highly suggest that you actually check out some of those programs, and you can even, hey, they're great at home programs. And if that's something that is going to work for you, then great. I've done the whole P90X. It was great. The only thing that I noticed about it is it became a little bit too long for me. It was, some of those videos were an hour and a half, some of them were an hour, and you got some really great results, but it was just a little bit too long. So I wanted to condense it even further. And this is where I found this HIIT training. So as I said in our last lecture, our goal is to burn fat, is to get leaner, toner in a shorter, quicker amount of time. And that's what this high intensity part is all about. So when you see me doing some of these moves, it might not be at the highest intensity that it should be because I'm going to be teaching and demonstrating. But I really want you to understand that in order to get great results with this, it has to be at a high intensity. What is high intensity? High intensity means that you go as hard as you can throughout the entire exercise or the time that it takes to do the exercise. And this is where something called Tabata training really comes in. Now, for the past about month and a half, I joined a gym, and this is where I kind of learned more of this Tabata training and also this HIIT high intensity stuff. And Tabata training is this 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off system where you do an exercise for 20 seconds, you do 10 seconds off. And then you do it again. And it's this, you can see that it's an interval training concept, but it's called Tabata because it's 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. So let's talk about an example of Tabata, right? And how this is going to really help you and motivate you really to get to the next level. When you do Tabata exercises, normally you'll do maybe one or two different exercises, and you'll do it for only about 3 to 4 minutes. So you do 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off of, let's say, split lunges, where you're doing lunges back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then you take your 10 seconds off. And then you switch, and then you do some sort of like push-up, and then you walk across, and then you keep doing the push-up. 20 seconds on, then you do the 10 seconds off. And then you repeat that whole routine 6 times, right? So it's 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, that's 1. Then you do that for 6 times, and that should be right around 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And then you give yourself a break, okay? And then you can move on to something else. Now, if you do that kind of interval training, okay, normally you do Tabata I like to do that little last 3 to 4 minutes right at the end. But that's the whole kind of concept that we're talking about here, is these little intervals, and then you give yourself maybe a 1 to 2 minute break, and then you hit it again. And then you do the 3 or 4 minutes, take a break, and then you do it again. So it's going to be short bursts, but the bursts are intense. Okay, they're real intense. So it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go through the motions a little bit, like, oh, I'm going to check my phone over here, like, how's the weather today? No, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't move any further. When's the next break coming? That's how you know you're at the right intensity. And we're going to talk about how to know when you're at the right intensity and everything else coming up in our next lecture, so stay tuned.